Hello, and welcome to Mastafran art stream. We're finally mic ready, so it was a bit slow to start, but we're gonna actually just get ready to roll out here. Welcome. I'm Mastafran in this fine Thursday afternoon. Today's Thursday, March 26th. It's been a fine sunny afternoon. Though it did cloud out and get rainy a bit, but it's been pretty okay. It's the fine late spring. Over earlier in the week, it was still cooling out, but kind of just warming up at the same time. Spring is infamous for kind of just fluctuating whenever it wants, so it is what it is with that. I hope everyone's doing alright, because I've been in a pretty decent spot, I'd say. I'm kind of just working on some new commission here. Well, it's not really new, but it's kind of an older commission for a client where I'm making this Mafia cat. And this character's actually kind of just been a series of OCs that my friends actually been showing me. You've probably seen this character before, though I'm kind of using her early colors instead of her current colors, so that's why this version of the character is here instead of the current version that you've probably seen all over social media. Let me see if I can't find it here. Hope everyone's doing okay. Where are ya? Shoop de doop de doop 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 doop. And where are you? You know what? You know what I could do right now? I could just import a file object. Put you here. Make you a file object, because this file object's for a longer term project that's gonna happen much later down the line. But kind of just have this here for my own personal needs. Well, not personal needs, but like I'm gonna be working with this character a little earlier. So this character is essentially the younger sister of this tiger here, so she's going to be kind of a smaller Mafia character. And essentially, her story is that she is a more of the enforcer of their casino that she that this OC works in. Well, it's not my OC, but it's someone else's OC. Oh god. So right now I'm kind of just in the process of kind of just adding in line art stuff. I had like earlier sketches. And compared to the previous one, she's much more petite than this initial like tigress OC, because I was actually, the original idea, or at least what I was given when it came to this commission, was I was given a prompt for the cat OC, but she never really described how she's actually supposed to look like. I kind of just went off my own deep end with that kind of thing. So, I showed it to her, she was like, oh, this is fine, but this isn't exactly what I wanted. So, I kind of just decided, okay, so for this stream, I'm just going to ink this with the Tommy gun, and then that'll be how that goes. So, I got started on this drawing around, I'd say, so I got started on this drawing around on my iPad the previous weeks, and just got that done, and it's kind of alright. It's my iPad's kind of weird when it comes to like sketching stuff, because it doesn't feel as light when drawing compared to my tablet, where you draw light it draws light. If I draw heavy, it draws heavy. And for some reason, the iPad just doesn't let me do this. I don't know if it's the brush settings, I don't know if it's how my stuff works, because it looks like this. Like, my brush dynamics look like this. And I think this is sort of the default brush dynamics that I have when I got my chromograph pencils. And then my actual pen pressure settings, I'm actually drawing, is like this. It's sort of like similar to this, and this is kind of how my general drawing style is. So one thing that's really nice about Clip Studio Paint is it has these like pen pressure settings where it can kind of like see how I draw as I do Spud. You know, how I had it before, it kind of just, it takes a while for it to readjust to its stuff, but you know, it is what it is with that. So yeah, you know, tonight is mostly a quietly work on my commissions and just knock out as much stuff as possible sort of stream. Can't really say I've been doing anything significant, but yeah, I've currently been on spring break for the past week or so, kind of just plodding around life. I've kind of been well, first I've been you know, grabbing references of like you know, weapons for this character. So probably gonna go off of this Tommy gun because it's a common Tommy gun design. So this is mostly a swallow the frog sort of a mission where I'm essentially just trying to yeah, this is kind of a swallow the frog sort of mission where I'm kind of like trying to just get this inking of a gun done, because it's kind of been a little off when it comes to working on this gun. Alright. Don't fret too much about how it's supposed to look. Kind of like just get what you're supposed to be done, and then I figure it out as I go. Essentially what's supposed to be is this drum supposed to be probably slightly wider, but I probably could like use a bigger drum here. The only thing that kind of sucks about drawing guns is that the mechanics can be a pain in the ass to draw, especially in perspective, because a lot of gun photos are all on the side, and unless you get a gun yourself, you're never gonna get the actual like drawings for that. And not even things like the Internet Firearms database can really like show you, or Internet Movie Firearms database can show you like guns at alternate angles, so that's a little annoying. 1, 2, 3. Okay. But yeah, what have I been up to for, I'd say, the past week? Mostly writing. I have bin writing Black Mask plus other stories essentially, and kind of just figuring out as I go. This could probably be smaller. I keep thinking this is a smaller thing. Like I could probably like make this smaller. I've mostly been writing a lot of stuff for well, not really writing, mostly just re-editing. Yeah, a lot of my, you know, whenever I say I'm writing, it's more just re-editing stuff. because I'll just say a lot of writing is editing, really. You're doing more editing than actually creating new things when it comes to like getting the ideas down. But, you know, things have been okay. I've been writing black mask stuff and kind of like figuring out how the characters look, or not look, but like, you know, what their motivations and stuff like that, kind of exploring things. There's still a whole bunch that I feel that I'm not, that I probably need to do way more research on, because otherwise there's kind of just a whole bunch of, you know, there's a few gaps I'm kind of like missing in terms of like the draft. Like you know, like there's some I think I'm having moments where some characters don't have anything to do at the moment, so I'm kind of just figuring out what I'm doing in that regard. So right now, I guess I'm just still in that outline phase of Black Mass. Is like main quest where I'm kind of just like, all right, we are writing it down and we're actually just exploring what it's actually doing. And one thing that I have been doing, which I'll talk about much later, is I've been learning how twine works and kind of just putting some of my draft stuff into twine. So I'll talk about this a little bit later in the stream after I like get some stuff done with this. So stay tuned for that while I basically just get this done. This gun is difficult to make in general, and I'm kind of just going all over the place with this gun. I could actually probably cheat and just cover up this hand with this giant barrel, because the nature of how this Tommy gun works, if it was at a tilted angle, the hand would actually be obscured by the drum and stuff like that. So I probably could cheat if I really, really wanted to, but we'll have to see. Yeah, figuring out how guns draw is always just a freaking nightmare and a half, but I manage. At the end of the day, they're just shapes. Same with cars. I don't really like drawing cars, but if I take it slow, it's, you know, it's manageable. Like, same with mechs. Like, it's kind of like this common art meme that a lot of artists will not take mech commissions, but I feel like commissions that I would take, I'd be fine with taking mechanical commissions. It's just you better have something already designed, because I could draw the mechs, but I have no idea how to like design a mech that's not just derivative of every other mech. You know, like, if you want me to draw a Gundam, I'll draw a Gundam, but if you want me to design something completely new, you're SOL. So probably could nudge you. It's difficult to really like manage this space a bit more. Probably just do it like this. Get rid of this and then have the stock kind of like be like this, because the stock is kind of like, it's in the bicep as the stock goes. Do I have any references of like the rifle just being in the bicep? Let me look. Let's see. Da, 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 da. You're not correct, but they'll do. Alright, we're ref hunting at the moment. Let's see. Because I need like a specific, I guess, shoulder. And I don't really have references to like rifles with one arm. So I'm gonna have to work off of that. Let's see, what about my soldier poses? Let's see. I got general, like, they shoot with two hands. Yeah, you might work. And you're humongous, of course. We gonna wait. Alright. You kind of work. Can I like crop this maybe? Bada bing. Alright, image. Flip horizontal. I like transforming you horizontal. Alt Shift H. Alt Shift H. Okay. I guess Alt Shift V is vert. Good. Alt Shift H. Yeah, I like do this more sub. Oh yes, thank you for the sale, Trevor. I guess I hadn't noticed that alert because coffee didn't frickin' let me know. But yes, thank you very much for the coffee shop sale. Yeah, you probably bought a sketchbook because I think that's the only thing that's actually on there, but thank you very much. Hope you're all doing well with this. Oh yeah, back to kind of just hunting for gun refs. Because if it's mostly in because if it's like rifle grifts are like that, one more coffee purchase. Fantastic. I wish there was a notification to let me know. I need to look into that again. But you know, thank you very much. Yeah, there is one thing that I gotta do more often is get that coffee, get more things in my coffee, you know, just get more items in my coffee shop, or just do stuff with coffee in general, because it's kind of there mostly as like a tip jar thing. So you know, I appreciate any like donos with that, but in general it's kind of just there. I can't really think of like, okay, you have the coffee page, you're kind of like putting art there, and I want to at least put something more with that, something that can like entice people. But that's kind of a me issue than a you issue. Like, you don't have to basically figure out what I need to do with my life. You know, that's me. So this could help. It's not really the right gun type. Like this probably like is more in line than this. So I think I'll probably just stick with this ref for now. Because, again, this is for atomic guns, and this is, I don't know what type of gun this is, but it's, essentially I'm looking for this pose, the, put the stock in this. So I'm seeing that's more just in the chest than the actual bicep. So that can work like that. Which, I kind of do have it like this, so yeah, it is what it is with that. You probably like add more space here. It's a atomic gun. Yeah, seeing this got me watching The Mask again. And, you know, kind of like listening to Hey Pachulo and Pachucho or whatever it's called, the Mask theme. Well, not the Mask theme, but like the big like swing music that I guess is famous in The Mask and stuff like that. But it's that one. Alright, how the hell is a Tommy gun made? Okay, so it's like this. And I'm mostly like working on this gun first. Oh, welcome Freckles. Welcome to my fine little art stream. I'm currently working on a OC commission. Or not an OC commission, but just someone else's OC. So we're kind of just vegging out and seeing how hard guns can be to draw. But it is manageable. It's just a matter of just getting that down. So I think right now I can just get a hand drawn here. Boom. And now I kind of like am hitting a point where I can be totally loose, because I can be fairly loose because I can see what I'm drawing. And I'm gonna basically tighten this up when I ink it, so kind of will be fine overall. But yeah, so far so good. Kind of just cranking this out as we go. Was she wearing gloves? I think she was wearing gloves. Yes, thank you very much. Yeah, things have been going pretty well, I'd say. Hope you're doing well. Because we're all kind of like, oh yeah, guns are a pain in the butt to draw. Lucky for me, I managed to, I guess, find what's essentially a simplification sketch. I forget where it's from. I think it's from like DeviantArt or something like that. But essentially, I found like refs where it kind of like breaks down the guns into simpler shapes. So that's been mega helpful. It's just finding spots that I can just break down the guns into simple shapes. But doing things like having finer details, that's like, okay, now we're kind of like hitting points where I'm like, unless you're a freaking gun nut, nobody's gonna notice, which is the worst because gun nuts are the most vocal assholes about it. But I mean, so far so good. It's pretty alright, and I'd say I can probably just get started just getting down basic lines going here. So let's see if we can't get to this. In fact, let's put you in a sketch section. Take it nice and slow. All you sketch. That way, it's remotely organized. There we are. But yes, this is essentially an OC who was basically in a series that I've been taking commissions for. And you've probably seen this character in my previous posts, and this is basically a series of OCs that my commissioners kind of like, you know, had me make for essentially all of her all of her OCs, so that's been pretty nice with that. So this one's kind of the latest. I'll lock you. And honestly, I can make this a fill layer. Yeah, when I started this, it started as a general, I started this drawing in Procreate, and then I exported it out of my iPad and into Clip Studio, because the one positive, I suppose, about Photoshop is that literally any program can accept PSD files, so if it's a digital art program, it can accept it, so that's pretty decent overall. Of course, there's other little caveats, but yeah, it is what it is with that. So press to min, yeah, we're gonna put that. Okay, and now we're going to get to the actually difficult part, and that is doing the actual proper inking of this. And one thing that sucks about finding gun references is that most guns don't have a angled view. It's very difficult to find gun references in like certain angles unless you like really dive into it. But at the moment, I'm just gonna wing it because I can make it a light assumption that this is supposed to be a two-sided iron sight. Then this is supposed to be another aspect of that iron sight. So I'd probably like do this. And one thing that I'm trying to get myself to do more is to not get crazy perfect about my line art in general, because I think in the advent of I think there's kind of this new trend overall, like people trying to just let go of being perfect when it comes to doing digital artwork. And I myself am no stranger to unreasonable expectations of being perfect when it comes to making your line art absolutely immaculate. And yeah, this will be here. And yeah, it's pretty easy to, especially with digital art, to feel that you need to have absolutely 10 out of 10 line art in order to make it work. But I'd say, I think artists who are probably just more, maybe like more, or at least more like around the bush a little, they kind of just realizing that they don't have to make absolutely perfect line art in order to make things, look cohesive. Because at the end of the day, if you're zooming out all out, you can, people aren't gonna notice your wobbly hand unless they're like really in there. And the only people who would actually zoom in on your artwork are other artists who essentially are admiring your work, really. They're not really like gonna be dunking on you. So that's kind of just one of those things where, these days I'm trying to force myself to not be completely anal about creating artwork, or creating line art specifically, absolutely perfect. Yeah, there's some games with 3D gun models that you can rotate at any angle. Yeah, probably. I actually haven't purchased a lot of games that would do that, so I'm assuming a lot of FPS is what lets you do that. And I don't really play a lot of FPSs in general. Maybe Team Fortress 2 overall. I played Half-Life, and what other notable FPS games have I played? I guess Perfect Dark from the Nintendo 64. And then everything else is kind of just wherever, because FPSs aren't really my bag. They're not really games that that really catch my interest. Like, you have to really be a specific type of FPS for me to get into at all. Yeah, I don't play that many games either. Oh yeah, honestly, same these days. Like, despite me touting myself as like big notable game developer, currently making big indie game, I don't play as many video games as I used to. Like, I used to play more games earlier, but a lot of them were like, you know, Nintendo games and stuff like that. But in terms of, you know, being like a big power gamer, I don't really play games. But I catch like people playing speed runs. I see, you know, live let's plays and things like that. So, you know, I keep track of games in general. It's just, you know, obviously I don't know every genre overall, and that is what it is with that. And I feel like, speedruns are fantastic. Like, I love catching speedruns. Like, I love like seeing like awesome games done quick and things like that. And I also was made privy to things like fastest fur, so that's pretty fun, where you're seeing like furry speedrunners do that stuff, so that's pretty rad. So I kind of like catch them whenever they're going live and stuff like that, whenever I can. Okay. I kind of like looking at this model. I'm kind of like, okay, I don't know what like this little thing is, but I'm assuming that's like a screw something, so I'll probably just put that there just to put it there. Oh. Yeah, it kind of like looks like a little like freaking little gun eye or something like that. Oh yeah, I catch like speed runs and stuff like that, but other than that, I don't play as many games as I want to. And I try to change that. There's a whole Steam backlog that I've been trying to get through, because it's there, and Steam is, you know, I have a whole bunch of Steam games or just indie games that I follow, and I purchase games that kind of just support, but I don't really like actually dive into. But yeah, I'm trying to change it with that. I recently been trying to play this game called like what's it called? Let me look, see. Arietta of Spirits. So it's a Zelda-like game where, you know, it's a top-down action RPG game, and currently you are a girl with a spirit sword, and you're fighting weird like ghost monsters at the moment. I'm sure the plot will do some other things, but you know, I'm always like excited to try out Zelda alternatives just to see how people can see how the genre would work, because I'm always excited to see like what people can do when they're inspired by Zelda. Earlier I played a game called Valky 64, and it was a Zelda-like game inspired by Ocarina of Time. And while it had some stuff, it kind of had a lot of misses, and that's a shame, because it had things where I feel like if this person took more time to kind of just get this, you know, if it had a bit more flair, they could probably get it more interesting to just like, I feel like a lot of the issues with Valky 64 is more in the presentation, and obviously the controls are the controls, and I'm kind of, obviously the controls can also use a lot of work, but I managed to like get through that at a decent rate with that. But like the presentation of Valky 64, like that is something you could easily like improve with that. Like there's a moments where you will enter a new area, but there isn't really a thing that says you're now in blank place. And there's like a big like caption to say like where you are and stuff like that. Like Dark Souls will do things like that, where if you enter a new area, you'll have big text that says Anrolando, or you'd have like Blight Town and stuff like that. It doesn't do anything like that in Valky 64. And those little things could add some more presentation to it just for things like that. Same with defeating bosses. Like whenever you defeat bosses, it's not really much of a celebration in Valky 64. It's kind of like you beat the boss, they drop a heart piece, and that's kind of about it. There's really not much flair to Valky 64, unfortunately. And that's a shame, because that kind of stuff I feel like you could easily do and not need to worry about things like specifically gameplay. So it's kind of just one of those things where, you know, you could really like improve in that aspect like pretty easily with that. But yeah, I do in my wish list I have a bunch of just Zelda-like games that I do want to try out, just, you know, just to see, because I guess most of my art stuff is very inspired by just Zelda in general. So that's kind of just how I tackle, I guess, my just fantasy game design. Is just I really like Zelda. I like seeing the artwork of old school RPGs. Like everywhere I go on Pinterest and Tumblr, I'm like finding art books of old RPGs. So okay, all right, the hard part's done. The hard part's done, so now it's just the easy part. Oh yeah, the old Game Boy music is also just really good. Like, you can find some really nice underrated soundtracks in just those old chiptune tracks. And I just realized that I haven't like completely inked this gun. Like, it's kind of just there, but it's kind of just in a tangent. So let me just do some adjustments with that. But yeah, like checking out good chiptunes, even 16-bit music and stuff like that. It's all just really nice to kind of just see how people tackle the tech limitations of those games and stuff like that. Like, it sounds completely different from things like MIDI, which is, the piano music that you plug in the computer and stuff like that. There's just a quality to it that I feel like if someone was just doing something like MIDI and stuff like that, it just doesn't sound as right. Like, from listening to a lot of like Game Boy Advance music and NES music, there's one thing that my programmer does when he's showing me progress on Black Mask, my indie game that I'm working on, is he puts a lot of NES music in the preview videos that he shows me. And I think one thing that kind of like throws me a little, but I don't really comment on, is that NES music sounds completely different from Game Boy music. And it's mainly because like so the Game Boy music, it has, I guess, more solid, like it has more solid drums, the best way I can explain it. Like whenever you're listening to NES music, the drums don't sound as hearty compared to Game Boy drums, which is interesting. I forget how the tech works with why is this not okay? I forget how the tech works with NES's how NES does chip tunes, but I think the Game Boy chip tunes, like the actual Game Boy, actually takes a lot more samples, because surprisingly enough, the Game Boy is actually like higher, like it has higher technology than the actual NES, and that can be like fairly. Why am I selecting this actually? Oh yeah. So yeah, the Game Boy itself actually is sort of higher end compared to the NES itself. It's like, it's difficult to explain, but because the NES is older tech than the Game Boy itself, the Game Boy can output more power overall than the NES can, even when it's portable. So essentially has a more updated sound system compared to the NES. And so it's able to kind of like have higher fidelity sound, especially under stereo, because that sound, it's built for anyone playing a Game Boy on the headphones and stuff like that. So that's kind of like one big notable thing about Game Boy music is it's built for headphone users. So that's those tiny little facts that I kind of like remember and think about when it comes to making Game Boy music. Or not, I don't make Game Boy music, but just listening to Game Boy music, that makes a giant difference. Alright, we'll just call you Cat Hand, and that'll be that. Probably don't even need to worry about this. That's one of those things where, you know, it's just here, so why not? Why are you not? Okay, I'm like, what's going on here? So yeah, like the NES music here, this is from Skate or Die. And, you know, obviously it's an old, like, EA games game. And I think it probably isn't, but I'd like to think that it's a prequel to the Skate games. Of course, they're never gonna like call it Skate or Die, but it would be rad if it was called Skate or Die or something like that. But still, it is, you know, this game has really cool music, so I really like Skate or Die's music. Alright. And now we're kind of getting to the spots where I'm kind of just getting the actual things down here. Yeah, so if your line art's not perfect, just cheat with fur. One thing that's really nice about drawing fur is that you can basically use this as an excuse to just make really sloppy lines. Just go nuts with this line art, bro. You don't have to make super precise inking. Welcome, Green Herring, to my fine art stream. I hope you're all doing well. Kind of just have a nice little conversation about 8-bit chiptune music, and it's like very fine differences. You got NES music, and then you got Game Boy music, which factors in stereo sound systems with headphones and stuff like that. So that's kind of just one of those little works of NES music that I end up just hearing. I can now kind of like hear it these days. So I'm kind of just fumbling about with just different types of stuff with here. I think I could probably like make this even thinner here. Just put it more incomprehensibly thin with here. There we are. We got the tie here. I kind of just really all over the place when it comes to doing this. And right now I am going to be just inking this. Maybe like do like a gray color thing, because I've yet to hear from my client about whether the outfit's the right outfit or not, but in my mind, I feel like it is the right outfit because she did specifically say it was an outfit similar to Smooth Criminal, and that's essentially a Mafia-style zoot suit. So, yeah, that's kind of just how I tackle that stuff. Okay. We kind of just go here, knock that out here. And I'm making a decent bit of progress, actually. Alright. Okay. Yep, making really solid progress, I'd say. Yep. This is looking good. There we are. Yeah. I'm still in the habit of still undoing my lines. Because it's one of those things where it's like, I still am in the habit of just undoing lines if it's not immaculate. But I'm trying to, I guess, free myself from, I guess, the tyranny of the undo button. Even though it's not tyrannical, it's just more of a mindset, I'd say. Kind of just one of those things where it's like, I struggle to accept imperfection in digital work, even though I can be as imperfect as I want with my traditional art, no problem. I post my sketches online and it means nothing to me because it's, you know, they're sketches. I guess that's the mindset I feel. But if it's digital, I always, like, I guess have this weird mental thing where it's like, all right, digital is real, so you gotta make it good. And you're kind of like, I guess, mentally psyching yourself out because you're kind of just kind of like getting perfectionistic about it. Alright, how are we looking here? So far, so good. This could be a more merged line in general. Yeah, just have this be more merged line. There you are. Let's get the rest of this. There we are. And it looks solid. One thing that's interesting about zoot suits is it kind of looks solid. Like sometimes zoot suits look like solid, like they're one solid mass. Like with zoot suits, they look like they're sort of like knitted together, but it's really that there are legs, but I guess like the crotch seam is so low that it seems like it's more I guess it seems looser than it really is. Like most of the, I guess, leg stuff's in the crotch area. So that's kind of interesting with that. Like, I'd love to, I guess, find a museum where I could see a zoot suit in real life and I just see how on earth it stitches together. Of course, I'm gonna kind of do a rough line here, because one thing that's great about drawing fur is you can just make really rough lines here. Everything just all over. and you can just mess about. I don't know why I don't feel this confidence when I'm drawing in Procreate. Maybe it's because of the brush settings, but maybe it's just I've been using Procreate way less than I've been using Clip Studio Paint, so that could probably be it. But I feel like I draw much more confident in Clip than I do in Procreate. I also think that I can cover my mistakes easier in Clip Studio Paint as opposed to Procreate, because I have my shortcut keys and I can just work faster because I have keyboard shortcuts. Oh yeah, these pants is just fantastic to draw in general. And honestly, these shoes are kind of cool to draw too. Cause like, let me see if I, darn, I don't have like shoe designs here. Guess I'm kind of just gonna go off of these shoes. I actually never grabbed a zoomed in version of these shoes. I actually don't even know what the names of these shoes are. Yeah, I never liked drawing on an iPad. Yeah, it's weird. Because, you know, I bought an iPad for like the possibility of portable digital drawing. You know, most of my portable drawing has been on paper. Like I have a pocket sketchbook and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, if I get an iPad, I'll be able to practice drawing digitally, and I'll up my digital drawing skills up more. And you know, that's like the mentality that I had when I wanted to draw on the iPad. But I guess to this day, I still never feel happy drawing on the iPad. Like even doing pixel art on the iPad, because I also use the iPad for making pixel art. And with pixel art, it's an easier pill to swallow doing pixel art on the iPad, because you're not really, there's no real expectation to do crazy precise lines of pixel art with pixel art, because you know, every pixel is just one pixel. That's how you do lines. If you want to have thick and thin lines, just plan where you're going to put 2 pixels. That's basically just how you do line variants in pixel art, is you just decide when you're going to add more pixels to the end of your stuff. And that's a little easier to manage like as you go, but in terms of like general drawing, like that's a bit more of a tall order, because essentially you're putting yourself more with a drawing as opposed to, you know, being able to manipulate the pixels precisely. And I'll probably like talk about this more when I get to my pixel art commission, because I'll be working on one of my pixel art commissions on this stream as well. And doing pixel art is it's an alternate discipline, but in tiny ways it's easier because you're able to get away with a bit more, because you don't have to, well, it has like its ups and downs like any other art medium, but pixel art specifically, I feel like I'm not able to fall into this perfectionism mentality as easy as I would if I'm just doing digital art in general. And I think it's because in some ways pixel art looks similar. Like a lot of like game pixel art outside of like maybe your own specific art style. Like when you look at a lot of games, it's the same medium of tools, it's pixels. And how you do those tools is basically just how that goes. It's not like you're drawing on a G-nib with a actual like traditional pen, and it gives a completely alternate feeling than drawing on a watercolor brush or anything like that. Like, there are completely alternate feelings and completely alternate looks to the pens. And with pixel art, it's you got a bit more room to kind of just look. Well, pixel art, because pixel art's just so similar looking, or at least it's the same tool, you kind of have the ability to kind of just I don't know how I can explain this. I just know that I guess I just personally have an easier time just mentally not getting hung up on being perfect when I'm doing pixel art in comparison to doing general art. Oh, they're wingtip shoes. Ah, I see. Alright. That's something that I can Google. That's really nice. The one thing that is very underrated when it comes to reference hunting is that when you're reference hunting, you'll end up looking up the names of clothing items. And because you'll find the names of those clothing items instead of just Mafia shoes or like Japanese samurai wear, like if you look up things like, okay, Hakama, then you'll have more specific things to Google in terms of like things like Hakama styles or, you know, wingtip shoe styles and things like that. And that way you'll be able to just specify your searches way easier through that. So that's very underrated when it comes to just reference hunting in general, is if you can learn the name of a clothing item, you will get like a slight leg up when it comes to most of this stuff. So that is incredible for doing stuff like that. So I guess a pro tip for any would-be artists who are either lurking or, you know, will catch these live streams when I upload them on YouTube in like you know, the future and stuff like that. That's kind of a little pro tip, is if you can, try to look up the name of a clothing item, and you have an easier time finding more results and more styles of that clothing, because you'll have something more specific than just the vague version of it. Okay. Alright, still missing a bit of excuse me. Alright, and then we have the little bit of the little the pocket square, I forget what it's called. Yeah, see, sometimes you'll forget what these names are, but if you at least know the terms, you'll at least have a better time. You know, you'll feel slightly smarter, you'll at least feel a bit more knowledgeable about things like clothing, fashion, stuff like that. And I'm also noticing that my, now keep it, now just thicken the line art on this. That can essentially just be shadows. I can probably just modify this a bit more. Okay. Here we are. Oh yeah, and speaking of games that I still have never played, Diablo is one of those games I'm like, yeah, I like its music, but I don't even know if I'll ever play Diablo itself, because I guess it's kind of just out of my wheelhouse. Well, actually, no. I just don't own Diablo at all. Yeah, essentially this playlist is more a town theme playlist, and specifically an 8-bit theme playlist, which is why you're suddenly just getting Diablo music. I actually kind of need to add more of the some more like modern RPGs in this playlist, because I'm also noticing that a lot of my Final Fantasy VII music isn't there, so I need to remember to just add that. Yeah, a lot of my playlists, I guess the one little shortcoming when it comes to DLC and I guess by extension physical playlists itself, or not physical playlists, but local playlists, is that if you move the files anywhere else, you'll completely fumble your playlist at all, and you will essentially need to refine the music that you made. You gotta remake those playlists from, well, not really from scratch, it's just you gotta refine the files. Yeah, Diablo's your biggest time sink. Team Fortress 2 has been my largest time sink when I look at my Steam Steam time numbers in general. I'd say Team Fortress 2 is currently my record for game I've spent the most time on. Which is kind of funny because I could make a lot of arguments that I haven't really played that much Team Fortress 2 in general. Because, I'm not really because I got a Team Fortress 2 around the Pyro update. So that was when it went free to play. So I do not have as much time in TF2 as anyone thinks. It's kind of just one of those things where I think I follow TF2 because I like the Meet the Team trailers, and that's kind of just why I got into Team Fortress 2 in general, is because I like those Meet the Team trailers. So I followed Team Fortress 2 until it went free to play, and then I played it myself, and it was another game that I just spent a lot of time on because it was just that exception of a game. It was worth the hype, as they say. Yeah, Meet the Team trailers are just fun as hell. The Medic trailer is a masterclass in just cool stuff. So yeah. And speaking of which, I have been playing Deadlock. I had an invite code and I was playing a little bit of Deadlock, and I guess that's kind of just been the other notable game that's kind of just caught my attention as I've been playing Deadlock. And I am way worse at Deadlock than I am in any other game. But, I just started playing Deadlock. I barely have more than maybe 8 hours on Deadlock, so I shouldn't be disparaging myself about my Deadlock skill. But it's one of those things where Deadlock has mechanics that are currently beyond me at the moment. Slide jumping and stuff like that. It's stuff beyond anything that I've even heard of. But I'm figuring it out. Right now I've been playing mostly Street Brawl in Deadlock, and kind of just exploring characters I like playing as. So kind of just seeing who sticks with me and who doesn't. I will say a lot of the characters have really fun little stories with that. The game starts me out with Abrams, who's essentially Blue Hellboy, and his little storyline's kind of fun, where he's essentially a detective who got his car blown up because someone was looking for this magic book that was just handed to him. And I think that's kind of a fun little film noir story with that. So it's kind of just fun with that stuff. And the Lash is pretty fun. I do like his voice interactions. with like all the other characters, where he's essentially just this rock-like heel. It's some fun stuff with Lash. I'm not good with Lash at all, but you know, some things are fun. Billy's kind of funny in a like, I like to dunk on Billy sort of way. Like, Billy's an asshole in like that hilarious way. Like, I like Billy as I like the scouting team Fortress 2. You're a total shithead, but I can't stop laughing at you because everything that happens to you, you absolutely deserve. Yeah, some things have been pretty fun with Deadlock, and I'll probably play it some more on a later date. It's just figuring out how this game works is one of those things. I think one thing that's kind of like making it tough is I'm kind of not good when it comes to just shooter games in general. Like, I have a trackball for my computer, so I don't really have like a regular mouse. I just use a trackball, and I mostly just have that for personal comfort than actual gameplay stuff. But you know, I play with the game with the trackball kind of fine. It's just I'm probably not going to be the most optimal super gamer. Yeah, right. What am I missing? This spot. Okay. Alright, fast inking. And so far, so good. I could probably like do some things where I kind of like I do like crazy do like a little bit of hatching just to get that down. Dang, fast inking. Thank you. I think a majority of how I'm able to do fast inking is because my penciling is way slower. Like, I'm also not doing things like doing hatching. So usually when I'm inking traditionally, I would also do things like do hatching like this. And one thing when it comes to stuff where I know I'm gonna color it myself is that I will tend to not do hatching if I know I'm going to just completely color it. It's both a blessing and a curse. You know, sometimes it'll look good, sometimes it won't. And yeah, sometimes it looks pretty good in general stuff. But yeah, my style is pretty it's pretty yeah, I like inking because I want to be a comic book artist overall, but then I kind of like fell off of making comics because is it auto-saving? Yes, it's auto-saving. I should probably at least save myself. But yes, I initially wanted to make webcomics before, and then I kind of just got caught up making video games. And that's kind of just my weird, funny little origin story when it comes to making these, you know, my inking skills overall. So yes, I'm gonna press Alt, or press Control S. We're gonna press save with you. And so far, so good. Could probably do like a, let's double check the sketch here. Looks decent. I could probably like do little things like do like a little fast hatching like here. Super fast hatching. Okay. Yeah, I just realized that her cheek fur is kind of like supposed to be here when this is supposed to be her back hair. Yeah, I figured so. It's okay. So, her cheek fur is actually supposed to be much further behind. So I'll probably like make fast adjustments here. Then put her cheek fur right here. And then the rest of the suit is here. Of course, it's still kind of sloppy, but yeah, we're letting this roll. I think one pro tip about like doing inking fast is just do it crazy sloppy. Just do it all sloppy style, and that's how you just get really good at inking. Is just do it all sloppy. Just do the whole like the sloppy inking. That's how it be. Of course, you have like the typical stuff like draw with your arm, or actually that's kind of just the big core thing with like inking is just if you draw with your arm and you start like as large long strokes as possible, you can ink fast and clean. So that's kind of just how that goes. But there's a million different things when it comes to just doing inking fast. It's kind of funny because I never feel like I'm that fast of an inker. Like I always kind of like feel like everyone else can just crank out line art way faster than I can. Like I'm seeing other artists like able to like rank out cool art just right off like a game announcement and stuff like that. I'm like, how on earth are you able to do this? But the truth is, I think it's just that they're drawing while they're seeing the announcement, so they probably have the base like body things down, and then you know they can just elaborate from there. Okay. I will at least do a little fast sign here, because I do like to put my sig inside a character. And now we're going to do a little fast dealio here. Okay, good. And most of my inking's just fairly closed inside. What I'm gonna do is kind of like select inside here. Probably like select that side of the shadows. Probably should have made the shadows separate. Alright, we're seeing this. How we looking? Yeah, this looks fine. No gaps, no nothing. Cool, cool, cool. And then I have like a little macro to kind of just nudge the selection in more, so like it's underneath, like my colors are underneath the line. So now I can just do something where I just do some colors. Let's see. If I just do like a orange. And we could put this in the colors section. then, we flip the selection, and everything's solid. Bada bing, bada boom. And we got essentially a nice little Mafia cat. And I'm gonna do some little like, I'm gonna do some like extra little things. Okay. I'm gonna have like a little lighter color here. It just selection flats. And then just the base colors here. And because I have the, you know, the layer set up so that only like selects, you know, like colors in the non-transparent. I love how the gun line extends through the leg. Oh yeah, it's real nice with that, where you know, it's kind of just like in there and stuff like that. So that's kind of some little fun little quirk stuff with that. Alright. And we're kind of just going to establish where the fur overall is. Because we're kind of just putting in the core flat colors here, I can just do things like put that here. I'm also noticing that there's like a gap in the ink, but honestly it's so faint that nobody's gonna notice. And another game that I still need to play more of is, I beat Phoenix Wright 1, but I still need to play more of the other Phoenix Wright games because I really like Phoenix Wright. I loved playing those games so much. Kind of got me in a bit of a lawyer kick for a bit because I was playing both Phoenix Wright and then I started watching Better Call Saul. So it was kind of just this big lawyer thing that I was kind of just looking through. So I think that was like 2-3 years ago or something like that, but I was just watching a lot of just lawyer media, just lawyer core, lawyer slop. Alright. Yep. That gap's not filled. Now we're looking, yep, looking better. And one thing that I can do is I can incorporate the hair there, because no one's gonna notice this except me, but she has little bits of fur underneath her, or like little gloves and stuff. So we're gonna do things like that. What else can I do? I could probably like do a little like coloring of her little like what's it called? I am blanking. Her undershirt. It's some sort of undershirt type thing. The suit shirt. It's the white part of the shirt that goes underneath the suit jacket. I'm a clothing understander, I know it. I understand fashion. I follow that fashion guy on Blue Sky. I don't know why. I still don't know like how that guy kind of like came to be, but he's kind of one of those things where he's kind of a welcome addition to just general stuff. Alright, and then just as a way to kind of let's quirk up the coloring here. Gonna make a blue tie. And again, this is the flatting phase of everything. I'm not really thinking too hard about, okay, what color should this actually be at the moment. Right now I'm kind of just marking down where the blocks of colors needs to be explicitly. And I also kind of like thinking about, okay, maybe like where the color coordinates would actually be. So I'll probably do things like think about where everything's going to essentially like be this big cohesive thing. And whenever I do stuff like this, I'm sort of winging it. I don't think about specific palettes. And it's kind of funny because I think about palettes whenever I'm doing pixel art, but I don't really do palettes when I'm doing just general drawing because I kind of just eyeball it. And also, I have this color wheel, so it's kind of like, okay, I can eyeball this color wheel, so I mean, you know, I know my colors, I went to grade school, so that's kind of just how that goes. And obviously these colors are fairly obnoxious, so obviously we can all tell which colors are which. What else can I do here? I make the feather blue too. And of course I can make this a whole alternate color if I so choose. I'd probably like make the eyes brighter as well. Excuse me, make the eyes brighter. You know what? We're also gonna make the eyes blue. In fact, we'll make it dark blue so it looks distinct enough. It's gonna be like the mask suit. It's entirely possible. Like zoot suits are, you know, completely different suits. But the specific colors I'll kind of like talk to my, you know, my commissioner about, my client about, just to ask like, oh, do you have any color preferences? And if no color preferences, you know, we pick a color that might just be the mask suit. I might just make this a yellow color suit here. In fact, I could probably just do it right now. Just say fuck it. Leave the gun brown and just make the suit itself yellow. And one thing that's awesome about how I set up most of the things here is that I can just color the entire thing. One moment. Yeah. There we are. Oh. Let me zoom in just a wee bit more. Ah, I know why. Because if you set up your fill brush so that it colors every brush that's in this like brush hashtag, not hashtag, but the brush like number, it will hit every freaking color that, you know, shows up in the entire thing, which is convenient if you're completely changing palettes and stuff like that. So that's pretty fun. I'm actually going to put this in a brown color and just break that there, so you know you're just recoloring the gun if you're just reworking that. I could probably like color it so it's more like gray than anything. What else? Probably could work the shoes a bit so the shoes look separate enough. Or maybe like more of a black. Okay. This will kind of work at the moment. Oh. Yeah, I have two different like fill brushes. So I have a general flat color brush that's typical of every other fill bucket tool. But then I have the palette changer brush, which changes every color that's the same and everything. So that's kind of just how I'm able to color fast as well. So that's one thing that I do really like about Clip Studio, which honestly I feel like I think other tools have that as well, because Aseprite also does things like this. I'm sure Photoshop does as well. I just haven't taken as much time as I should. Okay, so far so good with this. But yeah. Alright, I return. Pixel arting time. I'm feeling kind of hot. I think I can get a decent amount of this done. I think I'm far enough into this specific commission that I'm feeling like I could probably get this done today. So let's see if we can't just go into there. So right now I'm in the process of working on an icon commission, and I got started working on this in the iPad app PicSquare. So that's kind of just where I kind of like got most of my stuff started, but then I imported it here in Aseprite. And so far so good. We're kind of rocking this. And the teeth are looking pretty decent, I'd say. Probably like add some more teeth here. Probably like add bit of a bork to it. And I'm trying a bit of a new painter style where... thanks for the follow, Iron Jack. Welcome to the Mastafran art stream, where you are seeing me crank out some very precise pixel art and figure out how that works with that. Enjoy the fine streams of I think right now it's playing Don Palumbi's Bellatra remix tracks. I think I'll probably just hide this flower here. And currently I am working on a still pixel art commission here. And we are doing everything we can to kind of like get this out and kind of like experiment this time. So compared to all the other times I've kind of like been doing my other pixel art commissions, this one I'm kind of like seeing if I can work with more of a lineless style in general. Because I've kind of sort of been doing lineless style where I start with specific line art, but then I just nudge this down as I go. But I'm seeing if I can do a little bit where I can't like make the liner kind of like seem straightforward. And the rest I'm going off of is kind of like this initial like physical drawing that I did here. So there's so many ways that you can tackle doing pixel art stuff, where you can draw it by hand and then shrink it yourself, or you can just go right into the program, just do that kind of stuff there. I tend to do kind of a little hybrid of both, where I'll kind of like make an initial sketch to kind of just know what the overall pose is going to be, and that way I won't have to think too hard about how it's going to all go, because I don't know how the sketch is supposed to, or I don't know how the pose is supposed to look. And that way I can do anything like plan the animation if I'm animating it, or I'm going to be doing anything specific. And also obviously I give the client a peace of mind and stuff like that. They kind of like have a bit of like knowledge of what I'm doing. I try my best to try like include my client in my process, so they're aware of that kind of stuff. That is kind of, I'd say, I don't know if it's kind of the rule of commissions, but I guess it's the best practices of commissions is to just stay in a decent amount of communication with your clients, because it's courtesy, I'd say. Just stay aware of, keep them in the know if you need to delay something, or you need to, work on something, or you need to, have family issues and stuff like that. Keep them in the know. And, most clients are fairly understanding when it comes to a lot of this stuff. It's kind of, they say no rush, but I tend to try to at least make the time worth it. So that's kind of just my own personal standards when it comes to try making sure you do your best type of thing. So right now, just in the process, kind of like getting some cool fur pattern. And it's kind of in there. It's kind of just me futzing about. I think one kind of difficult thing about doing pixel art is that doing pixel art with fur is actually a bit tough, because since you don't have the ability to essentially cheat with thick and thin line art, you have to make do with things like specific like lighting setups and stuff like that, dithering and all that stuff. So that can be difficult overall. Where is it? One moment. Let me get back to my refs, because I'm noticing that my sketch ref actually isn't out. So let me, there it is. Hey Destiny, welcome to the stream. Hope you're all doing good. I am currently in the process of knocking out this commission, so thanks for stopping by. Alright, so right now I'm currently missing this eyebrow line, so we're gonna see if we can't get that down. Yeah, how's the writing coming along? Yeah, this is a little bit of a tangent, but we're just gonna let it rock. In fact, I think we could probably like detangent it by kind of like adding the color here. Yep. And about to lock in right now. That's good. Yeah, I'm currently locking in myself with this commission. Yeah, I usually have like a weekly commission thing, but it's like one of those things where, alright, what am I doing with this weekly commission? Well, usually I'm kind of like working on a thing. What kind of thing are you gonna be working on? Oh, that's a good question. I'll get back with you later, because I don't plan these streams as much as I should. Because most days I'm kind of like, you know, I'm just going with the vibes, bro. What can I just do that's gonna be relaxing for me? I think I could probably, oh no, start with black. Right, yeah. Do black, absolute. No, off black. I mean like an off red. Yeah, do an off red. Right here. Do off reds as much as you can. Just have as many of these spots just have off reds, and that'll be there. And then you could have this spot be more of an off blue. And then you kind of like work that. Misfits. Okay. Yeah, sometimes you kind of just gotta go with those vibes, because you never know what you're actually gonna be doing at the moment. Okay.
since the arrival, it ain't been the same. Respect it, one of the hardest ever. Come on and approach, see if you can measure the visual interest, fast-paced engagement, extreme difficulty of this arrangement.
Blue for this is good. The one thing that's a little tough when it comes to pixel art, especially with blacks, is that you go off blue, you tend to like notice that you're kind of just off, it tends to be the wrong off black. So this is supposed to be an off red, but all the other quote-unquote blacks are off blue. So that's kind of like the difficult things to keep track of with that. Okay, how did I do this again? I'm looking at my refs here. It's right there. Yeah, so I could probably like just make this brown because it's gonna be covered by the flower anyway. So I got like a big flower here. So that shine will probably just not even be there. So I'll just leave this space here. That'll be that here. Alright, I think for now we're just going to focus on getting in just the big shapes. Just get in the big shapes and just vibe out. Enjoy some fine jazzy remixes of great game music here. Super Soul Bros is always a nice choice for just cool game music that's just arranged to fine-tune perspective or perfection. So I absolutely recommend that band for fine little game remixes like this one. Bandcamp's always been a great source of just finding cool music in general, because, you know, once you purchase the album, you know, it's actually yours. You actually own it. You can make your own playlist, and you don't need to worry about things like streaming and stuff like that. So that's all just a fun reason to buy music from Bandcamp as opposed to Spotify, which will close out their streams, which will make their music unavailable, even though you're doing a subscription to Bandcamp, which is insanity to me. That even though you have a subscription to Bandcamp, you still will not have access to your stuff. Yeah, copyright streams for listening to music they like. Oh yeah. So it can be real annoying with that stuff. But luckily, you know, this is always a fine spot to, you know, having a playlist of just music that you can actually play, which mostly is video game music. This actually isn't the playlist that I would normally play if I'm drawing. Usually I play like progressive rock, but it's like 60s rock music, so it's like Pink Floyd and stuff like that. So obviously I can't play that music because they'll copyright me to shit. Oh yeah, you might be behind an attack, but you still prefer your own music files. Exactly, because it just ends up being helpful in the long run. You end up being able to make your own playlists. You end up overall being able to support the artist more because people in Bandcamp get a higher cut of the music. You know, I speak with a few musicians on Bandcamp, and they do say that, like, if you buy music from Bandcamp, especially on Bandcamp Fridays, they get a lot of cut from that music. So, you know, I totally, absolutely recommend just getting most of your music from Bandcamp, because Bandcamp is an exceptional service. Like, sure, it's owned by Epic Games at the moment, and it's probably on a timer for when it'll in-shitify itself, but right now I'm kind of like taking it as I go and enjoying the fact that Bandcamp is a really, really good music program. I'd probably make a new background, and we're just going to make it yellow AF. Maybe not like that yellow. Yeah, that's good enough. There we are. Yeah, I too never use streaming service and instead buy my digital music through Bandcamp. Yeah, because also another thing is Bandcamp also streams music too. But just, you can also own the music that you stream because you purchased the music. So it's insane that anyone would use Spotify over Bandcamp. So it's kind of just one of those just funny little things that you sometimes feel like the general public's kind of suckers for accepting Spotify when there are so many other spots of getting something better. There are better services out there, and I don't know if it's Bandcamp's fault for not talking about it as much, but there's so many other better services for getting music and listening to music that help artists much, much better than Spotify. And overall, I hear nothing but awful things when I hear news from Spotify in general. When it comes to like, all the AI music and junk like that. And essentially bots padding listen counts and stuff like that, where it's kind of like, well, that just means a lot of Spotify is kind of just useless in general because it's kind of just a bit of a psyop or something like that. I don't know how I can explain it, but it just makes Spotify just seem all the worse. Oh yeah, questionable Spotify morals. Oh yeah, like Spotify is just not good for the music industry, really. Because it's kind of like, a lot of these streaming services, they're there because they initially were there to curb the amount of piracy, because at the end of the day, piracy is a service issue. So they offer a service to be able to just get easy access to music. Thing is that easy access to music is a double-edged sword, because essentially that easy access to music yields easy access to your data of like how you listen to music, what kind of music you listen to, and how I guess music labels can advertise to you, and by extension other advertisers. And there's a whole giant rigmarole of something living in society, something, and there's so much that Spotify kind of just ruins in that regard, because it basically does not really help in terms of the art of providing music to people who want to listen to that music. It's a lot of just modern tech completely ignores the user getting that service that they're paying for. Like, if you're not doing the service that a user is paying for, they're going to go back to piracy and stuff like that, because it's the service that they're getting. So long story short, Spotify is essentially just shitifying itself because it doesn't want to, it's just trying to just nickel and dime you for random stuff. and people are getting privy to it, you know? And there's so much stuff in Spotify that I can't think of that I actually need that couldn't be done on everything else. Like with podcasts, like I use an RSS feed to subscribe to podcasts, so I don't really use Spotify for podcast. I listen to Bandcamp, or I rent to CDs from the library, so I don't really like listen to music on Spotify. None of the playlists that I find on Spotify play music to my taste, and it'll limit the amount of skips that I make to find music that I actually will like listening to. And what else? It's just, there really isn't much that Spotify is offering to me that is making me excited to use that service, because I found so many other services that do their thing much better than what they're offering. So I can in good confidence say, like, yes, Spotify is a legit competition to Bandcamp, because it really isn't. Like, there really is not much that Spotify is offering that Bandcamp and every other music audio service can really just offer to me, personally. Hey, it's Jody. Welcome to the stream. I'm kind of just talking about how much Spotify sucks and how much better Bandcamp is in basically just all ways. Listening to music, streaming music, paying their artists, like the works. Like, it's difficult to justify spending money on Spotify because there's so many other better options. There's way better options that you can take, and they're all just overall better. Like, I don't even think like Spotify has good audiobooks, and even like something like Audible is better than Spotify, and Audible's just as bad as like Spotify in some aspects. Especially if you're not subscribed to Audible, you basically lose access to those audiobooks. You can't listen to Audible books from Audible if you like stop subscribing or you close your Amazon Prime account and stuff like that. So even with that, Audible is still better than Spotify with audiobooks. So it's like Spotify's really not making much of an offer that, you know, is attractive to the general, you know, music customer. Like, I'm sure the general public doesn't really like know about Bandcamp and stuff like that, but I feel like if you tell them that that option is there, they'll absolutely switch. Because, you know, the big like matter of like, oh, why does everyone use this service, is because not many people actually mention it to them. Now, not everyone's like saying, hey, this is, you know, why I use it instead of this other spot. Like, same with Twitter. People still use Twitter, and, you know, they got their own reasons for still using Twitter and stuff like that. They're not good reasons, so you have to convince them what Blue Sky offers, or like what every other like program offers in general with that kind of stuff. So what Blue Sky offers is one actual proper moderation tool. You can actually like block stuff. If you block someone, you absolutely block them. They can't see any of your posts, you can't see their posts, and it's done and done. Plus, you can do things like, that's probably lists and follower lists or whatever. I feel like that's Blue Sky's biggest advantage, is having those like big, massive follower lists where essentially, you know, you'll have a collection of, you know, a circle of people that you can follow at just this instant bit of like following stuff and stuff like that. You know, it's really nice with Blue Sky with that aspect, and Twitter doesn't really have stuff like that, so that's been pretty nice for just overall outreach with that. And obviously, you know, there are Nazis on Blue Sky. Well, actually, no. There actually are a few Nazis on Blue Sky, but they're so easy to block that it just ends up negligible. So, you know, it just says a lot about how much the moderation on Blue Sky just elevates the experience so much, because you don't have to deal with it. And people are kind of saying, it's kind of an echo chamber, where it's like, yeah, but it's like, if the other dissenting opinion is being a piece of shit, is it really an echo chamber, you know? Okay. Alright. Use this light here. Doing some ear tuff with this, and that'll be good. Alright. I'd probably like to do some stuff here. Yeah, okay. Alright, so we're going to do a bit more knocking down this hair shine here, so it kind of like blends in some more. Okay. Just looking at my refs and kind of just seeing it's a bit more of like a curl here. Kind of just curl this up right here. Oh yeah, so far so good. I have been kind of just trying a lineless style, where I'm kind of like working off of just using the shine of light with this. And so far it's looking really nice. I could probably do some more to kind of like darken the values here. Like I could probably like do something right here. Yeah, like do something here and that'll be good. Yeah, that's better. Like this is going to look more like the light's kind of like going in on it some more. I could probably push this back some more. Okay. It's not 100% clean pull in, but yeah, let's like reduce this down to like a one line. We'll kind of just figure that out as we go. Okay. Then we'll use
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
and just push this in more and more. Kind of like zoom out and kind of just see this. Alright, so far it's looking good. Okay.
You're too slow.
Actually, I'm liking how I'm doing this. It's kind of just blending back some more. Probably do a little bit of a nudge. Yeah, just what I'm doing at the moment is kind of just darkening some lines just to indicate that. Kind of just going inside some more. Looking like the fur is kind of just blending in some more. Just have this so the fur like kind of like blends in a bit more. So far so good. Like as I do this, I'm tightening up how the hair and stuff's supposed to look. Kind of seeing like those points of light. Oh, great! You got the editing aspect of your script going. That's good. It's always like a nice step forward. Maybe like a little bit of a. Yeah, that's good. Just nudge it down just a wee bit more. That's plenty. Okay. This is looking much, much better. Alright, how are we looking here? It's probably a deeper dip, I'd say. I could probably like add a little bit of like light here to kind of just indicate that, you know, it's also kind of just adhering to, you know, it's adhering to like a top light in general. I could probably just get rid of some of these and they'll look good, good. It's all looking very solid. It's a little bit samey-ish, but we're gonna kind of like nudge it down. Good. Very good. Very excellent. Raw rockin'. It's all coming together. Okay. Alright, and now all that's left is this little braid. So far so good with this braid here. Gonna be like a little like cool like French braidy type thing. A little bit of a box braid. And I'm actually going to get rid of this shine just so I can focus on just the two colors. In fact, I'm just going to do that. Just make this section just a big block and then add the braidiness to it, like the actual shine. Okay. Okay. Alright, just nudge it down so you're much more round. Everything kind of just blends into each other. Bada bang, bada boom. Good. Everything's looking good. Everything's looking really good. Okay, that's a good looking braid. And then I could do things like add extra pixels to just give it a sense of shadow. Yeah, incredible how much of a difference just adding one more pixel to a thing. Like, it makes a ginormous difference. And then you can add things like okay, this is gonna be tough because kind of like this is okay. I think I know how I can tackle it. It's supposed to look like it's roundish, like little bits of round. Like that rock. Yeah, let's just let it go there because they could probably like put like some white or something. Let's see, what's the next lightest color? Yeah, this is a nice high light color. And then I could probably do like use this to kind of like give it a bit of a shine this spot here. Yeah, put some little subtle roundness to it. You're probably like, how on earth can I see this? Like, these are just really fine pixels. Well, let's say I'm able to see this because, one, experience, and two, like with regular art, when you zoom in, they all look like blobs, and when you zoom out, they're actually, good broad strokes. They're good broad strokes colors. You see the colors themselves and you're painting towards the colors and not necessarily the big, like broad, specific things with that. That's kind of just how I'm able to just see the colors that are needed because, well, the colors, they're the right colors for, I guess, a broad, big picture. Difficult to explain, but that's kind of just the gist of how I'm able to see this stuff. So this ain't really a superpower, just, you know, you're experiencing pixel art as you go. So obviously this stuff comes when you're doing a shitload of pixel art, and it ends up just getting easier and easier. And that's one thing that I am trying to like get myself to understand is, you know, just because someone's doing something, some crazy exceptional art, doesn't mean that I couldn't pick that up myself. You know, it's, you know, at the end of the day, it's still lines. You know, you're still like putting one line at a time and searching for that proper, you know, little stroke that makes it look like the thing you want it to look like. And it can be easy to feel discouraged when you're seeing extremely exceptional art and you have no idea how you can really match that. And part one, it's not your job to match it. You know, it's their art style, not yours. Get your own art style and that kind of stuff. But also, at the end of the day, learning how to do these art shapes is not an insane ask, because you're essentially, at the end of the day, it's all still shapes. You can still do things like, you know, it's still the same amount of like, you know, box turning, or it's a lot of like, you know, it's a lot of like, you know, you're seeing the colors just arranged together in something cohesive. You know, you still got color theory, you still got, you know, basic, you know, everything's kind of this basic core, I guess, formula. It's not really a formula, but it's like, you know, it's the same core principles. Like, if you can understand those core principles, like, you can pick up most art techniques pretty fast, because, you know, a lot of those core principles will still be there, even if you think that it's complete magic what they're doing. Obviously, you know, people can do stuff that is well beyond the norm, but it's not insanely impossible as you think. So, you know, that's a tiny bit of hopium I feel when it comes to learning art. So, is with that. Yes, thank you. Yeah, it's looking pretty lovely, and it's also starting to come together in a way that I'm kind of like liking at the moment. Let's see. I could probably add some more, probably like add a bit more contrast here. Let's see what the lightest color here. Yeah, this will work. I think this is the same. No, this is the shading color. See, that's the most insane thing about pixel art, is like one color that looks dark here will look light here. And I think one thing that I'm really liking about pixel art is that it's kind of leveling up my coloring a bit more, because I'm starting to like see stuff with color that I used to not like think about when it came to just general, like a general coloring in general. Is like you're able to stretch, you're able to kind of like stretch a lot of like color blends and stuff like that through the fact that you just have, you know, a specific certain amount of like pixels to work with. So that's kind of just that ongoing little theory of, you know, that's just ongoing color theory, I'd say. So I guess that's kind of the benefit to learning pixel art, is you just essentially start picking up techniques, because you can just figure some new things out that it just ends up looking really good. Probably could guess a slight rim light. Oh, I know I could probably do with this. Probably have it so it kind of like blends a bit. And that way the fur looks like it's kind of like going out at the moment. Right, like when you zoom in, it looks like the fur is kind of like just blending out, so that's good. Okay. That looks okay. Like one thing that's actually legit throwing me at the moment. Oh yeah, speaking of which, has anyone seen, I guess, Fox McCloud is in the new Mario movie, which is, yeah, that's okay. It's just one thing that's surprising me is like, Star Fox is in the Mario universe. I'm kind of like, huh. You know, it's kind of just one of those things where it's like, huh, Fox is just in the, it's, I'm sure it's just a cameo, but it's like one of those things where it's like the longer implications of that kind of like blow my mind at the moment. It's probably nothing, but it's one of those things where it's like, okay, Fox is in the Mario universe, which is bananas to me. So that's some fun stuff with that. They're really like having some time with the, you know, just having some time with the, like Mario universe stuff. Yeah, she's like kind of poggering. Having some fun, like, teeth stuff. Now the eyebrows could be a little bit adjusted here. Actually, yeah, we're just gonna make this like that. Have you just blend out a bit more. Yeah, that's also one thing that I kind of like wish they didn't do. I wish they would at least leave that as a surprise, because it would have been like a cool little like surprise thing. It'd be freaking insane if like they hid that Samus was in the Mario universe. So that'd be pretty insane. If they just put a little Metroid cameo in there, which they probably could, like it's in the right, like they're both in space, so why not like put Samus in the Mario Galaxy movie? You know, it's all in space. I wonder if Kirby would also make a cameo, since it's just, I'm thinking about just all the other space Nintendo characters, and then, you know, those are the big ones. You got like, you know, Fox, Kirby, Samus, I wonder if you could make arguments that F-Zero's a space Nintendo franchise. I mean, they do go to different planets, but it's not like those games aren't really about like exploring space or anything like that. It's just the tracks are in different, you know, the tracks are in different like planets. Yeah, Super Smash Bros. Move in the future. And through sheer insane cosmic, I don't know, some kind of like cosmic luck, Sakurai somehow directing the Smash Bros. Movie. Just, he's never been a movie director, but just somehow he's putting like 4 hours of insane lore details in the Smash Bros. Movie. I mean, I'm sure he probably understands how movies are made, but it's one of those things. Oh, this Fire Emblem movie. Yeah, that's true. It would just be a Fire Emblem movie. Honestly, Fire Emblem is one of those few, like, Nintendo shows that I actually think it could be. That could probably adapt well to, like, a movie format. Like there's certain games where I feel like wouldn't really go well with movies, and Fire Emblem is one of those that could do well as a movie. Zelda, I'm still kind of like on the fence when it comes to a Zelda movie, because it's like, on one hand, you know, obviously a Zelda movie is gonna be really cool, but it's like a lot of the Zelda games are very, you know, player focused. It's on you to make the fun and the story of it, and you know, a lot of like doing cool stuff in Zelda is literally just on you, the player. So that's probably just one of those difficult things when it comes to how could you make a Zelda movie interesting. But Fire Emblem, actually no, you're right, you're cooking with that, Usagoji. Fire Emblem would actually work better as a show. Like, if you gave it, like, you know, the Castlevania treatment, and you kind of just gave it, like, an episodic thing, because at the end of the day, like, Fire Emblem is a big war show, you know, it's a lot of, like, war, political intrigue, shit like that, so, you know, that would attract all the Game of Thrones, you know, likers and stuff like that, so, you know, I feel like Fire Emblem could lend itself to being more for that than anything else. Okay, then the flower. Yes, okay. Yes, Fire Emblem would be a better show. I mean, Kirby was a pretty solid show in general, like, right back at ya. Like, it was pretty good with that regard. Obviously, Pokemon's a great TV show. I mean, Ash kind of choking notwithstanding, but it's one of those things where it's like, you know, Pokemon is rife with show material stuff. So, I mean, they could easily do stuff with TV shows. Like, I would love it if Pokemon, like, had more different movies than just Detective Pikachu or something like that. Like, something with, like a mystery dungeon movie would be a nice idea for a Pokemon movie. Like, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, because that is right for, like, storytelling stuff. Let's see. Oh, speaking of, like, a show that's gonna be tough to actually make work, I feel like Metroid's gonna be the toughest thing that they can make work for a movie or even a show, because it's like, yeah, the nature of Metroid is you're exploring crazy space stuff, and other than, I guess, Other M, Samus is kind of a non-character. Like, she is not a person who has a lot of, like, I guess, friends. And hopes on the live-action Zelda movie. I'm So what they've shown, I don't really like, and it's less because I don't like it as a Zelda movie and more just I don't like how fantasy movies look. Like a lot of modern fantasy movies are just afraid of lighting, you know. A lot of modern fantasy movies just do not want to light their stuff at all because either they're factoring in for the CG or Hollywood doesn't want to pay, you know, lighting people to actually set up lighting so everything looks interesting. Like you have interesting shadows. Like if you look at a show like Dark Crystal, or you look at like even like Excalibur and things like that, like even like something more recent like the Lord of the Rings movies and stuff like that, you're noticing that there's actually like a sense of like directional lighting and stuff like that, and it just gives it a sense like these shadows and these characters are actually like existing in the space. And with the Zelda movie, they're kind of like doing that same thing once again. They're just like, okay, you have the characters, they're there in a giant field, but it doesn't really feel like they're in that field because it just still has that similar samey white lighting that you see in most other, you know, not just fantasy movies, but just movies in general. So, I mean, I'm sure the Zelda movie's gotta be fine, and I'm not opposed to Link talking. Like, I would love Link to at least have a bit of, like, talking. Like, I'm not against it. Like, I am a excuse me princess enjoyer. I love that guy so much. If Link's gonna talk, I hope he at least has an interesting personality with that. Good day. Yes, I'm currently making a portrait, and so far it's looking pretty good. Yeah, right now I'm kind of just like seeing how I can like add some more contrast to that. Oh yeah, CDI Link. Yeah, so let's just add CDI Link. Why not? Like, just go in there and just go all out with making Link interesting. Because I don't have a problem with like talking protagonists, but if they're annoying or boring, it tends to really just knock things down for me. So, you know, I'm hoping that they'll do something, you know, exceptional with Link in that regard. Interesting is definitely an objective for the CDI Zeldas. It sounds like you're not an Octorok enjoyer. You're not a person who believes that peace is not a thing that all true warriors strive for. I will say, like, in a vacuum, I do like the CDI King's voice. Like, I like CDI Harkonnen's voice. Like, that is the, I guess, my headcanon voice when I think of, like, you know, the King of Hyrule. Like, even my headcanon voice for, like, the King of Red Lions and stuff like that, that's just, you know, yeah, exactly, my boy. That's just like, every time I meet the King of Red Lions, he's just my boy, and he just goes like that. It just goes like that. I'm kind of like, it still fits him. Because it's the king voice, you know? It's a voice that a king sounds like. And I kind of just, I just generally just like that in general. Oh, this looks better, actually, and off red. This is a higher contrast. I wonder. Nah, too red. Nope. That has the same. Nope. I wonder. Yeah, too red. No. Alright. Yeah, the dark red's looking good. Yeah, its teeth are looking fantastic. I just leave it like that. So we're just gonna go back to that. Cause it looked fine from this spot. Yeah, like a little bit of like hair like this. Yes. I actually could make the jaw a bit wider because I feel like the jaw is not as large as it could be. Yeah, like get the teeth. Get that mouth looking a little bit wider there. Yeah, we're just gonna make you just have a huge freaking jaw here. Now I'm thinking about it, how on earth would I do a vor pick on just pixel art? I'm now kind of like legit pondering this. Like the logistics of like, I think if I was doing like a legit like vor pixel art portrait, I probably would have to do this on a higher res. Because I would never be able to get that much detail down. Yes, thinking about the logistics is actually kind of tough. I actually legit don't feel like I could do a vor pick that well. Because I'm working on 64 by 64, which means, yeah, it would be way too small. Like, if it was just a jaw, it might be able to work, but other than that, it flat out could not work. Maybe like one more tooth. Nah, this is a good amount of teeth. That is more than enough teeth. I'm making that shit work, bro. Yeah, so logistics of vor would be difficult in terms of pixel art. Actually, I should see if there are other, like, furry pixel artists who have tackled this. There probably are. There's a small amount of furry pixel artists I've been able to find. And I do my best to kind of, like, follow as many as I can overall. I know there's this one, like, artist that they're in my FA mentions, or not mentions, but my FA notifications. And I'm saving those notifications just to keep myself, to remind myself that, hey, you know, they want to do an art trade. And I want to at least do that sometime in the future when I'm actually, you know, not constantly getting myself busy. Because I do want to do it, it's just I never am able to get around to it. Now let that rock. Let's see. No, that's not light enough. No. Nah. Like looking at this was like, all right, we are dithering so finely that everything is now kind of like hitting points of like absolute. No one's actually going to notice this, but I'm gonna notice it. Type like fine pixel artness. Got like, okay, how light am I making this color? Yes, you're making it so fine that no one's gonna notice. But I'm gonna notice, which means I'm gonna feel bad if it's not cool looking. That's literally just it. It's just I'm kind of like coloring this in a way where it's like, I think if I color this black, that'll actually contrast this better. The black's good. The tough thing about like the one thing when it comes to doing black as a color is that, you know, it's sort of like one of those last resort colors where, you know, the big rule of thumb is don't use black, but really it's more that you shouldn't, you know, black is more of a last resort color of like when you're at your most apex of darkness. I'm kind of like looking at this and like seeing how can this kind of blend in. I mean, I'm kind of overthinking it. There is a point where I am kind of feeling like I'm over rendering some of this pixel art. Okay. What else? You're right. I always feel like I could like add more to this. As like the lighter I go, it feels incorrect. Yes I do. I try to like limit it. If I'm really like pushing it, I will like readjust some palettes and stuff like that, but I do try to limit my colors. Yeah, I do. So this specific like palette, I think this is the default palette for I think this is actually more of a default palette. Yes, this is the default AAP palette, so this isn't really a restricted palette, so to speak. But you know, whenever I'm like starting with like my Game Boy stuff, I tend to go for like 4 to 8 colors. So, which is actually kind of funny because my direction was actually you know, they gave me free reign to just use my limited palette, but for some reason I just decided, okay, I just want to do this cool like paint style, and I'm probably giving myself more work than I really should, but it's one of those things where at the moment I'm kind of like trying like an experimental, make a Super Nintendo style thing. I actually haven't like specified like what kind of art style this pixel art is, other than I want to try like a lineless style. And meanwhile, I'm kind of just putting little lines here. In fact, let's see if we can load palette. New palette from Sprite. How many colors I got here? Let's see, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. 25 colors. I feel like I could reduce this amount a bit more. Like these two colors look so similar. So I might just, yeah, these colors look so similar. Like there's a bunch of colors, so I'm feeling like this is way too close. Like these two colors are ones I'm like, I could probably like dumpster these two colors and nothing would change. Alright, which color is it? Alright, see you, Destiny. Have a nice day. I'm going to try to figure out which color is this, because if I can find the color that's this, I can just get rid of this and just replace it with, a more betterer color. Ah, there it is. So it's this color. So replace you with pink. Every color will just be the pink color. And then we'll just load a new palette from that. Reduce the amount of colors there. And we're kind of just gonna be in the just knockout color phase, where I just find whether color is just not working. I just color that. Actually, this is kind of working. Okay, this kind of works. So I'm slowly and steadily kind of just knocking down the unneeded colors. So these two colors looked so similar. Yeah, that's... okay, that doesn't contrast it well. Okay, I'm seeing issues here. Alright, I think I know what I need to do. Oh. Okay, I probably can't, like, get rid of that because it's just, the contrast is so fine. Alright, I'll just let these go. Kind of like thinking, okay, process of elimination, how are we gonna do this? I like looking at this and got this figure like what would make this look. That's a little too much gray. I like now kind of like hitting this point where one, I'm just fine tuning everything to an unreasonable optimized degree. Because right now I've got this down to, let's see, 5, 10, 15, 20, 21, 22, 23, 23 colors, which means that's still kind of like uneven. So there are things that I could do here. I could eliminate black and just settle with the off black here. Kind of just miss this contrast. And now I'm kind of like seeing this because the black kind of like makes the eyes better. Kind of just looking at this was like, okay, how can I like improve this? Like optimize these colors a little finer. Because I have like 23 colors, which ain't crazy exceptional, but I'll deal with it. But also, I probably shouldn't even be worried about this, because one, this flower still needs to get done. So let's actually just work on that while I actually ponder this. Alright. Alright. So this actually is supposed to be, this flower is supposed to be light out and then light in. And I also could like have it so I add another color. Yeah, we're just gonna have to go with this at the moment. Oh, we got a little raid. Whoa! Welcome. Welcome everyone to my fine, fantastic stream here. Hope everyone's doing well. I'm getting some fine progress done here in this big ol' avatar here. Hope everyone's doing good here. Welcome, welcome. I'm Mastafran. You probably know me for Rose Gold's avatar. Ah, thank you. Yes, I'm doing pretty well with the VTuber experimentation, or PNG tuber actually. Thank you everyone for following me. I hope everyone's doing well. I am currently working on a larger portrait commission, and it's kind of just been the thing that I've been working on for the past, I'd say, for the past stream, I'd say. Hope everyone's doing well. So far, so good with this. Kind of just knocking in some cool pixel art stuff. Yeah, great to see you, sir. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, because we are essentially just adding the finishing touches of this pixel art here. Everything's looking pretty good so far. And all that's really a matter of doing is kind of just adding, refining how the flower's supposed to look. Because that's probably just the big thing I gotta tackle, is just getting the flower looking good. Because I think if I use the darker red, ooh, that's a little much. Let's see. Yeah, you're the same color. Like, I need a color that's like kind of blending down. You know what? We're leaving palette. There we are. Yeah, may like punch out the sat. Here we are. Yeah, it's a big old party. That's all good. Yeah, stop by anytime. Yeah, so far so good with this. So, making notable progress. And enjoy the fine Mother music. There's other music, but right now Mother 3 is playing. Yes, welcome. Welcome, pupper readers. Pupperoonies. Pupperoonies. I'm currently pondering this flower. And we're all kind of just all over the place with this. Probably could like add like the white as like a color contrast here. I could probably like do like a thing where I could do like a petal thing. Let's see. It's a little too much. Let's try a yeah, maybe I'm kind of like too far out. But we're kind of just going in on it. Yeah, I'm kind of like trying this no line style for this specific avatar. And so far, it's been pretty decent. I'm making a good amount of progress when it comes to getting this to work. And right now, it's, right now it's kind of just working pretty well. Probably do something where you have the petal kind of like flat out here. And it kind of just has like a nice like color contrast, and then it blends out here. Then you could do something where the shadows will kind of like blend away this color, and then the flower will actually start to contrast away from the hair and stuff like that, so that's good. Use the flower, kind of just get rid of the non-sharp spots, and that's good. It's all good. We're all good boys here. We're all good people. We're all making significant progress. I know I have. So far, so good. And I'm not expecting to animate this, so I could probably like work with this. Okay. Just looking at this and kind of like thinking, okay, what else is kind of just here that I could probably work off of. And I could probably like get a bit more like eyelashy here. Have this kind of like blend away. Use the gray to just blend out the eyelashes just a wee bit. Nah, don't do that. Because what you want to do with these lighter colors is you kind of want to get the illusion of the lines fading out. That's why you're using those lighter colors, is you're giving that illusion with the pixel art that the lines are kind of like tapering off a bit. So that's kind of like that weird like thing that I'm trying to do with a lot of these pixel techniques, is try to stretch those colors. So far it's been pretty okay. And one thing that's been pretty nice is that you take advantage of this. That's how you do that here. All right. And it kind of like falls away. Ah, yeah, it ends up looking like a nice even little plus. It wasn't intentional, but we take those. Okay, how we looking here? Yes. But maybe let's just let's do some like basic outline stuff with this. I just do some fast outlines just to give myself a bit more just to give this a bit more oomph. Alright. I tend to like giving my avatars outlines just to give it, you know, let it stand out a bit from Alright, how's the portrait looking here? Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, just have like a little bit of like outline stuff to kind of just have you stand out just a wee bit. Really nice. It's fair, it's fine, but it's, you know, that little bit kind of like adds some more oomph to it. Yeah, so far so good. Am I able to let this go? Let me at least put some like little dots. I want you all to be honest. Who here remembers to put whiskers on their Sona? Like, who actually remembers to like put the little bits of like long hairs there? Because I'm pretty sure that's like a detail that's just super easy to forget. Where, you know, you draw like the muzzle and stuff like that, but you never remember to put in the actual like whiskers of that, because it's just such a fine hair detail that's just super easy to miss. Yeah, just leave them as dots. Yeah, leave them as like fading out dots. Yeah, just have it like this and that'll be plenty. Yes. Alright. I'm going to do one more little experiment. And it's going to be... I don't even know if this will actually show up on stream or not, but I'm going to try to attempt to. Will this even show up? will anyone even see this? I'm not even sure. Alright, let's see. Shader glass. Will shader glass show? Let's see, outputs. Let's see. Alright, let me see if I can't get a shader glass like showing up here. Because if I can get the CRT working, that might be hype. You're not really making it look existent. Not really existing. Shader glass don't work, bro. Come on, shader glass. Anything. No shader glass. Alright, so I guess CRT won't really like work with this. Well, it was worth a shot. But I have this CRT filter that lets me like see how this looks on an actual like CRT thing, and it looks like pretty nice with like, you know, it kind of like helps me see like what it would look like on an actual CRT like filter and stuff like that. Let's see. And da 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 da. This looks pretty alright. I'm gonna like do like a super fast screen cap, and maybe I'll be able to probably like show that off. What's the snipping tool again? No, that's not the snipping tool. What's it? Shift S. So that we're just gonna print screen the entire desktop, and I'll just paste that wherever. But yeah, I think right now it's currently 5:30. I gotta take one more break, and I'm actually going to do some like cutscene work on NAD here, and I'm gonna be doing some actual like game development cutscene stuff done, and we'll be right back. Check you later. And we're back. Welcome to the Mastafran art stream once again. We are back now, and it's currently 5:34. I probably shouldn't be taking a break because I'm not really going to do anything crazy much, but I am going to get to work on a lot of these cutscene drawings and stuff like that. So, for those who are kind of uninitiated, I'll talk about the game that I've been working on. So, the indie game that I've been working on is a game called Black Mask. It's a Game Boy style stealth action platformer about a raccoon treasure hunter jumping all around the world to find cool treasures that he can sell in his merchant shop. And essentially it's a big like you know, action RPG. We're gonna focus more on the action than the RPG, and you know, essentially it's a funny little like you know, Game Boy style platformer game that I've been working on with a programmer friend. And we've been working on this game since 2020, and I've been hard at work kind of just getting pixel art done for my little stuff here. And this stream has been just me constantly just working on that. So thank everyone for stopping by in this fine stream, and if you want to see more of the my news, just follow me everywhere, or kind of just stop by you know, all my little links at the bottom of my Twitch links. You'll kind of like see a little trailer of Black Mask here. So yeah, let's get to getting some of my cutscenes done. So, currently I'm in the process of creating a cutscene for my boss intro here. This is a Tanuki boss that will be much more, much smarter and tougher than Cole the raccoon character. And essentially I've kind of just been doing a whole bunch of like different stuff with this. I've worked on like other cutscene stuff with little movement stuff with here. And that's kind of just been the big gist of just work on just new pixel art stuff, is work on just game development things. But I will also show you a little thing that I've been working on in Twine. So, does this show up? Yes, it does. So, this is a program called Twine, and what it essentially is a big interactive fiction program, which is pretty fun to learn. For anyone interested, it's called the Twinery, and it's a really common starter tool for learning interactive fiction. And I've kind of just been experimenting with this tool to kind of just see if I can make something that I can incorporate my writing into. And right now I'm kind of like working on the Kingdom arc of the game storyline, where essentially it'll let me create branching path stories of, you know, my like little story thing. And currently the big gist of it is that the big treasure is Cole is seeking the a magic artifact that allows him to see and control the dead. And of course they're in a kingdom of cats. It's very like mummy and Egyptian themed stuff. And essentially he is fighting against what's essentially an evil super pharaoh. And this is going to be, you know, just Cole exploring what's essentially this kind of like desert area and stuff like that. And there's gonna be some like wacky little things where essentially there's a black market of organs and stuff like that. And you know, this Twine is kind of interesting because it's kind of like, you know, lets you just, it's pretty easy to learn because essentially all the like branching paths are essentially web links. So if you write anything in Wikipedia, or if you're editing blogs or things like that, you know, it's pretty easy to learn with that. So I absolutely recommend, if you're a writer or if you want to learn how to develop video games yourself, the Twine is a really good program for just getting yourself to learn it. You know, it's pretty easy. It's just HTML and Markdown. Essentially, you are doing just super basic stuff as if you were making a big blog. So I absolutely recommend Twine for anyone who wants to get into game development without necessarily just going through the tough part of learning code and stuff like that. So I absolutely recommend Twine for that aspect. So I hope everyone, you know, is kind of like familiar with that, because that's probably like the big notable question that I tend to get asked when I kind of like talk about, you know, me making my games is, you know, how do you even start? Well, you start at something that doesn't actually require programming, because learning programming is a whole, you know, it's a whole alternate deal with that. And, you know, some people can pick up C, other people cannot. C is the program that my programmer uses to make blackmasking Unity engine. And that is kind of just how I'm able to, you know, just keep up with stuff. The game is made in Unity engine and stuff like that, and that is kind of like how we're creating our stuff overall. But I'm using a program called Aseprite, which lets me essentially, make pixel art and stuff like that. And how I started pixel art is essentially, how I started drawing is, I got this program Aseprite just because it was well, actually, no. I started making pixel art by making a 1 pixel brush in Clip Studio Paint. I turned off its anti-aliasing features, and essentially I was able to work off of, just doing pixel art with just a single pixel art brush. And then I use Aseprite because Aseprite is a pixel art program that's kind of built from the ground up for making pixel art stuff. So that I would recommend Aseprite if you're like, okay, I want to dive into pixel art, but I wouldn't say Aseprite's a requirement for learning pixel art because, again, essentially any program will let you do pixel art provided it does like raster graphics, and that's just like pixels. Like if you're zooming in really close to an image, you will see pixels. So essentially, if you make a really small image, you'll essentially be able to do pixel art stuff because it's overall just the same principles in general. So I absolutely recommend either learning how to shrink your artwork in a really small program, or just picking up Aseprite, which is like a $20 program. Like, it's hella cheap, and kind of just dabbling into just learning how to make pixel art that's similar to games. Like, a nice way to learn pixel art is just go on like a sprite ripping website like a Spriter's Resource, and kind of just find a game that you really like and just copy the sprites and see how it actually looks. I've copied a lot of sprites from like Ninja Gaiden and Metal Gear. Another, I guess, obscure game is a game called La Mulana. It's kind of an indie game where essentially you're an Indiana Jones type, and you are trying to explore a lost temple, and it has really difficult puzzles. And that's kind of just the big gist of La Mulana, is you are essentially trying to figure out this really difficult place of puzzles. So I absolutely recommend La Mulana. Okay. So right now I'm currently trying to give Nad a leaf to chew, because in like his concept art here, and let me see if I can't find his art. He actually has a he's kind of like has like a leaf in his mouth that he uses it to wield arrows and stuff like that. So that's kind of like this general gist, and that's one thing that I've kind of tried to like make consistent with him is he's kind of like has a leaf as like a it's kind of like the idea of like having a straw or toothpick in your tooth. It's kind of in that ballpark with that. So far this looks good. I could like do a bit more work here. Yeah, you could probably like lower you here, and that'll be good. Yeah, it looks good. Kind of soften this so his mouth kind of like goes down like this. Or maybe it kind of like widens out at the bottom here, and that's how it goes. Okay. Use a shine of the leaf. It blends out. And that's where it'll go. Good. Kind of like trying to see how the leaf would like blend away, and that's how it'll look. Because the big like gist of what this cutscene is it's gonna be a panning shot. So essentially, this will be him panning up slowly, and you'll see a big like reveal shot. Cause let me see if I have the previous scene. I'm just gonna have to search up the other cutscene. Is this it? That's not it. Yes, so this is the little previous thing where it kind of just shows Cole kind of like getting harassed by arrows from a distance across two treetops, and then it kind of like zooms into, I'll just get rid of this, and then it zooms in to just reveal that here's the big like notable boss that Cole is fighting, and you'll have like a little intro where it kind of like shows his name here. Where is it? Overlay. Probably like, bleh. Probably get rid of the text here. I could probably like rework this. Like make a new thing. Hide this. Oh, dang. I keep forgetting that the enter key in the text thing does not actually work. But it would probably be like, it'd probably be like this. I do need to like think like a cool like nickname for this guy, like the Tanuki Archer of Terror or something like that. Something in that line with that. So I'd be, you know, in that ballpark of how it's gonna look. Is he'll have like a little intro, and then it'll be here. Okay, back to figuring stuff with this. So what I'm gonna be doing, because I'd say most of what he needs done is now done, but I do want to like have like a little short animation where he's like having a bit of a chuckle. So what I'm going to do here is unlink this. Is do a bit of nudge this up. Alright. Nudge you up here. It'll be subtle. It's okay. It's very subtle. And I'll also do like a little belly expand like this. Alright, this is going to be crazy subtle, but it's gonna work because I made it so. Hopefully the arrows won't like go away too much. Okay. It may like nudge this down some more. Then it'll look a little bit better here. Just super subtle animation, like nothing crazy extreme. Because right now I'm kind of like going with the Game Boy kayfabe of doing limited animation. And that limited animation means that, you know, it doesn't like go all over the place when it comes to nutty animation with this. Alright. Okay. We're cooking. Or at least I'm cooking. I'm the one actually working on the thing. You're just watching, but I'm making it exist, and that is good. We are currently in the process of like making a thing look really good. So how we going here? Oops. You're a little too much. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, I done fumbled. This is in the wrong spot. Damn it. You're not laughing here. You're supposed to laugh here. Alright. It's supposed to be a really like subtle type animation. Of course, the belly button freaking jiggles. Because it's gonna be slashed off. I'm probably a scumbag for like spoiling this, but that's kind of like the long-term plan is just, you know, he has a cool belly button. So that's kind of be one of those like little plot things that I drive him to go against Cole. Because I did want to like build Nad up to be his actual direct rival in a way. Because there are like little things where I do want to like do some stuff with that. Yeah, this is crazy subtle with that, but it's all gonna work in the end. At least I'm gonna make sure it works. This gets one extra frame of animation. Okay. How are we looking here? Alright, so far so good. We go back to this, knock in those colors here. Alright, how are we looking now? Yeah, his belly's kind of jiggling. I think I'll probably like move the dither just a bit. Then move this left. Probably means nothing, but They'll mean something soon. Let's see. Okay, so far so good. One thing that I could do is reduce this by a single pixel. Reduce this entire corner by a pixel. And that way, it'll look like his belly's kind of like expanding a little. Looks good. Do like one more and that'll look consistent. Good, good. What I can do here is I could have it so this goes in, add color here, then reduce this by a pixel. Good. Reduce this by a pixel. Okay. We're cooking, or at least I'm cooking. I am currently cooking a fine meal. Things are legit cooking. Okay, what I could do here is add a thing like this. Get rid of one here. Add one here. Get rid of one there. It's just crazy subtle. But it's all going to look really cool. Because essentially, just moving pixels makes it just look like he's just full of life. Like just right off the bat, it just looks exceptional. So I'm really happy with this. The one thing that I am especially proud of when it comes to doing pixel art is that I'm able to find cool ways of making limited animation work in the coolest possible ways. So yeah, we're gonna fill you here. Put this here. And now, alright. He's having a nice, like, fine belly laugh. He's lamowing. Okay. Now then, one thing that I could do Yes, it's looking real nice. And it's just so subtle too. Cause it scrolls up, pans up, slowly and steadily, and you're just seeing him kind of like have a little chuckle. I could probably like do like a little blink and stuff like that, but maybe that's just way too much at the moment. Like right now I'm just gonna focus on just having this, and that's more than enough. Though, I will polish this because that is a polish thing. Okay. And then I have a tree trunk here just to, pink check this. One thing that I've been kind of like teaching myself, and I've kind of like learned this from someone who used to do pixel art since the Super Nintendo, is that they would set their backgrounds to be like a bright magenta, and that way if a color is transparent, or at least a color is missing, no one will you know, it can be caught with that. So that's kind of just one of those little, like, I guess, pixel art pro tips, so to speak. So yeah, everything is looking pretty good here. Yeah, like, there's some little things that I could probably do with this. Probably like expand the belly just a bit like this. This is a giant nothing. No one's ever gonna notice this. That's kind of just one of those things where it's like 2 pixels kind of just gives it enough life to be like, yeah. I probably could like have like a slight head bob. Let's see. Let's see if a head bob will work. The only thing that I should have did was I should have like separated the pixel art character a bit. So for some reason I kind of have to be precise when it comes to some of this. So alright, nice and easy. It's possible that I might be overworking this, but you know, it probably will look cool. The only thing that's nice about, I guess, being my own person is that there's really no such thing as wasted time. Alright, how are we looking here? Okay, that's actually exceptional. Alright, that is more than enough, actually. Like, this gives them more sauce. That's good. That's real good. Yes, yes. I always do this. Does it kind of like his thing kind of like vanishes a bit. I'll just have it be a bit more of a squishy look. But so far, it's looking pretty nice. And I could probably like do like extra things, like have this like go 1 frame over, just a single frame over. But I'm kind of like really now just hitting over animation points. Yes, still, this is good. This is good so far. Oh, nearly spilled my Pepsi. Yes, it's looking good. Alright. I think the difficult stuff is... Well, actually, easy stuff is done. I wonder, should I just continue and try to add detail to these vines? Because they're kind of unfinished looking. Yeah, because I'm seeing like little pinks, so I'll at least work on this just a little bit, even though it's 6 o'clock. Probably could keep going, but I think I've kind of stretched the amount of things I'm able to just do. But now I'm kind of just gonna go and see how far I could like take this. You know, like have like a little like the most subtle spiral here, because once I get this cutscene down, I think essentially I could like hand this at him, and then essentially we're aesthetically ready for a decent looking demo, and everything else is just make these controls seem all right, and then see like, okay, is a dialogue interesting looking or interesting sounding, and then everything else kind of just comes together in a giant bizarro soup. No, you know, I don't know why I'm putting these lines there, because the lines like make it look like it's more of a rope, when that's incorrect. It's vines. Like, I look at my I guess my tree references, and it doesn't really look ropey. It just looks like they're more solid looking. So I think the one thing that I might be able to benefit from is maybe like putting leaves where they need to be. Or maybe I'm kind of just overworking it. In fact, yeah, I think I'm just overworking it at the moment. Yeah, maybe that's just what's happening at the moment. Everything's kind of just being overworked. Yeah, honestly, it looks pretty alright. Like, this is just going to be a straightforward thing. Let's see. Should have a different gradient. Let's see. How are we looking in gradients? No. I think just keeping it flat's more than enough. So yeah, I think right now I'm just gonna let you go. Maybe I'm just overworking it. So you know what? I think I'll just let this go for now. In fact, probably just let this stream go for now. There's so much stuff that I wanna rework. In fact, I want to overwork this hair because it's still kind of like not like sticking out as much as I want. You know, I keep finding cool spots, gotta just improve. So my apologies for essentially just adding more shit. Yeah, he's now just greasing it up. He's now just having a bit of a faux hawk thing going now. And I'm kind of like having this like odd selection thing going at the moment, because mostly I'm going to copy and paste this to my next frame, so that way I don't have to worry about getting it to work. Okay. Okay. Stop you here. You're here. It looks good. Ryan, let this go. Just let it go. Let it go, Indy. Let it go, Indy. Let it go, Indy. Let it go, Junior. Yeah, let's just let it go. Let it go, bro. Just let it go. Okay. I think that's what I'll just do. Let it go here. Ship this. This is a cutscene. Just let it go, Indy. This is more than enough. So I'm just gonna cut the stream, and I'm also going to just send this to my programmer. This is the cutscene. This is the final thing. Cause yeah, there's one thing I gotta like make sure that I'm not doing is constantly being a perfectionist about it all. So, you know, there's so much other cutscene that need to get done, and I have a whole freaking storyboard on this stuff. Like, a lot of this stuff is, you know, storyboarded all. Where is it? Where are you? Yeah, you're right here. Yes, you're right here. So yeah, I'm essentially like working on this sequence, which is the sequence that's just straight before the boss. And essentially, this is, you know, the boss fight is coming after this setup. And I think I'll probably like, yeah, be right there. Boss is here, and then you're kind of just going with it. And then, oh, that delete the thing? Shoot. But yeah, this is going to be all over and stuff like that. Probably could have like a thing where like, pull slashes these arrows, because that's also a bit of a strategy that'll hint to the ability that, you know, you the player will be able to slice his arrows and stuff like that. Though I don't even know if my programmer actually coded that in yet. I'd have to ask him. There's a bunch of stuff that he's kind of just jumping onto, but it is what it is with that. But yeah, we're all over the place, or at least I'm all over the place, but I'm slowly and steadily getting it done. So, I'd say I'm going to wrap the stream right now. Thank you all for stopping by. And I'd say I'm going to pay it forward by raiding someone myself and wrapping the stream. So, would you all like to participate in my fine raid along with me? Then join me as I find someone else to raid. Let's see who is currently just streaming at the moment. Who's currently streaming that I care a bit about? Let's see. Yeah, Catsy's streaming. She does new art, but she's playing a game right now. She's playing, what's that? Black and White 2. Which doesn't look like Pokemon Black and White. It looks like a separate Black and White. So, we shall raid you here. Anyway, thanks for stopping by. And I will try to stream next week. Have a good night, everyone.
Pull my blade to the sky, word from the ground to the heavens. I'll be out in a second.